Welcome to another exciting episode of Tutor, I Hardly Know Her.
Duel.
Last time
Sunday,
on Hardly
Sunday.
Emily talked about Mary, Queen of Scots.
And
And
Meanwhile,
things got
Piccolo
heavy.
and Goku went to go fight King Henry.
I bet you that exists somewhere.
What, an anime of the Henry
Fanfic.
VIII and his many wives?
Yeah, and one of them is Goku.
It's a harem anime. Anyway, so hello and welcome to Tutor, I Hardly Know Her. I am your host, Garrett, and with me, as always, the lovely, the talented, the incorrigible Emily.
Hey, guys.
And as always, our precociously precious, punitive producer, Jeff.
Hello.
I don't know what
Punitive.
any of those words
Punitive.
mean.
Precocious. That's it.
So, today, on this episode of Tudor I Hardly Know Her, right on the heels of our Mary Queen of Scots episode, we're going to talk about the first couple of episodes of the television show Reign.
Oh, no, we're going to talk about everything that I know.
Oh, we are?
I mean, not a lot, but I do know some details about what happens in seasons 2 and 3 as well.
Okay. But yeah, I wanted to go through like just a rundown of like the first episode and like have you just let me know what is fact, what is fiction, and I want to chime in on my belief on what I felt watching the show.
Yeah.
And
Hold
I
on.
think-
Jeff is going to say something, though.
Yeah, so Garrett, you've watched the first 2 episodes of the first season, correct?
I've watched the first 2 episodes, started episode 3, and then passed out.
And then wanted to die because it was so boring. I was pretty...
We'll get to how I feel about it once we start talking about it.
Okay.
See, I only watched
in
I
earnest.
kind of half watched the first episode when Emily was watching that one. And the second one, I wasn't really at all in the room when she started watching that. So I'm kind of like, I don't know as much probably as you guys are going to be about this, but that's kind of what I'm here for. I'll be the one that's uneducated during all this.
All you need to know is that it's bad.
Okay.
So basically, Reign is a fictionalized version of Mary Queen of Scots, and her going to the series starts off with her going to France to meet her betrothed Francis.
Actually, Garrett, I think it'd be fun if you tried to pick out what the inaccuracies were based on what I told you.
Okay,
So right off the bat, there's a glaring inaccuracy. Do you know what it is?
is it that the characters are way older?
Yes! Yay! Oh, good job, Garrett. Yeah, she went to France when she was 3 or 5.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and she didn't stay at a... I mean, they said
they got
she
married
went
when she was 16,
5, but
right?
she didn't stay at a convent. What'd you say?
Because she got married when she was 16, right?
14 or so, yeah. Wait, 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was 16, he was 14.
Well, you can't make that sexy on the CW, or can
No,
you?
they've got to be at least 17.
Right. But so yeah, do you just want me to go through the plot synopsis real quick?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay, let's do it. After an attempt on her life, Mary, Queen of Scots, is sent from the convent she'd been in since and I'm reading this directly from the fandom Wikipedia for the show, so
Good.
keep that in mind.
Do it, Doug.
She is sent under the pretense of being better acquainted with the Dauphin.
What? Dauphin.
What? With the Dauphin of France.
He's not a dog. The Dauphin. The
I
Dauphin.
like Dolphin better.
The Dauphin.
The Dolphin of France.
Continue.
The Dauphin of France, Francis. He meanwhile strikes up conversation with his parents on the Scottish Queen, remarking that last he saw her, she had skinny legs, a missing tooth, and strong opinions. To which King Henry replies, "Surely the adult tooth has grown in, and you can ignore the opinions." Nothing about the skinny legs, though. That was my own editorial.
Cursed with skinny legs.
He spoke pointedly at Catherine. Spoke pointedly at Catherine. To Catherine?
Whatever.
This is about to be a proofreading episode instead of a... anyway. Establishing a situation of marital discord. The Lady Mary arrives within the hour, ecstatic at the prospect of being reunited with those whom she had not seen in several years. She is reunited with her ladies-in-waiting the moment she arrives. The group consists of Greer Norwood, a lady of no official titles, hoping to make her way in a world that looks so down so poorly upon people of her social standing. Kenna de Poitiers.
It's okay. These names are bullshit and made up anyway. Doesn't matter if you know them.
Because they're all named Mary, right?
They're all named Mary, yet in the fucking show, they've got names like Lola and Kenna.
I think you got to give it to the people making the show, though, because you can't have literally every one of your characters named Mary.
Correct. You can't.
Like, if all of your characters or have the same name, the only time that's acceptable is like a reality show based on George Foreman's family.
Correct. You cannot have them all named Mary, but change their names. So first of all, if they were her ladies in waiting, they would have been known as Lady whatever their last names were. So you could have fixed that. But also, if you wanted to change the names, you could have given them period accurate names like Anne or Jane or something like that. Not fucking Kenna. Kenna.
Here's the thing, Emily.
That's not even a name today. Sorry for
this
any
show has a
listeners
problem
named
with
Kenna.
anachronisms, and I'm going to get to that way later, and I can't wait to fucking talk about it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Her bitch is named Kenna.
Vivacious girl, daughter of Scottish nobles who looks only for excitement. Lola, often referred to as the strongest of Mary's ladies. And finally, Eiley?
I don't know.
I don't remember. whose family owns the lower half of Scotland. After a warm greeting, Mary asks her ladies who the woman beside the king is, wondering aloud whether that is the queen. Greer responds, informing her that the lady is in fact Diane de Poitiers, the king's mistress. Any relation to Kenna? I guess it doesn't matter because it's not her name. Will she marry de Poitiers?
No. I don't know because Diane de Poitiers didn't have any kids, so it's irrelevant.
Okay. The king's mistress. The Lady Catherine makes her appearance by standing directly in front of Diane. Deanne, you said?
Deanne.
Obviously slighting the king and his mistress. Yeah, Catherine's a mean old lady.
Oh my God, let me tell you about the real Catherine in a little bit.
I can't wait.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Francis himself is expected to stand beside his mother, yet instead walks up to Mary, causing her nervousness, which leads to her rambling on. Francis walks her up to greet
God, these fans really like this show. We didn't need this much of a synopsis.
Yeah, I know. I thought that this would go quickly, but
oh, for God's sake, you guys.
I'll try to edit out some unnecessary lines. We'll see.
Okay.
Francis walks her up to greet his parents, and things appear to be far more proper and formal. Mary and her ladies leave, apparently going to get dressed for Elizabeth, the princess and a sister of Francis. I was wondering who that lady was. I was on the treadmill when I was watching this show, so I was kind of...
Ooh, look at you getting all healthy.
I know. Not that I really need to go on a treadmill. I'm so scrawny.
You just need to put on some muscle, man.
Yeah. Let's turn this into a health show. Okay. We're done with the tutor talk. It's all about Garrett getting swole.
We're calling it that. Garrett gets swole. It's not a success until you have to waddle from your giant muscles.
Oh my God, yes, like that's all I want.
Oh, you could be like Henry VIII.
Different kind of waddling.
Yeah. That's mostly from the pus thing from his leg.
Good memory.
We only remember the gross stuff.
Yes.
And being drowned in wine.
I mean, that was pretty
God,
cool.
and the good stuff. Blah, blah, blah. The girls decide to walk around the castle, but Mary tells them she'll catch up with them later. Mary interrupts Francis and discovers his hobby of making knives and swords. What a lame-ass hobby. Was that a thing that he liked?
Repeat
was that just some bullshit?
What was it?
Mary finds out that like she's like, oh, what are you doing? Francis is like, I like making knives and swords. In case this whole king thing doesn't work out.
I mean, it's better than King Louis the 16th, who enjoyed clockwork and keys.
It's also better
He
than
enjoyed
King Louis,
keys.
who also wanted man's red flour.
What'd you say?
I said it's also better than King Louis and his obsession with man's red flour.
Ha ha ha.
That's a Jungle Book joke.
It is. Good job.
Well, I do want to be
Thanks.
like you.
Oh, guys.
Ooby-doo. I want to be like you.
All right, back to the synopsis of the bullshit
Yeah.
show.
Mary charms Francis with her own accomplishments, informing him that she can milk a goat and cut peat. What a lady. Francis says that her skills are good in case there's ever an uprising in France. They'd have to do something to get by. I don't think that you would. Would a former king just be able to go live a normal life, or after being ousted if something bad happens?
If you're a former king, the current king's probably gonna kill you.
Yeah.
So it's not probably a peaceful moment.
Do you know? Would you know if there's been any stories or records of like a member of royalty running away and just kind of absconding, being like just living a normal life?
Yeah, his name is King Edward the Seventh or something, and he wanted to marry his thrice divorced mistress, so he gave the throne to the current Queen Elizabeth's father.
Okay.
Different time period, but that's the only one that comes to mind immediately. Yeah, he gave up his throne so he could get married to somebody who he, according to religion, wasn't able to.
He did it for love.
I mean, yeah, but
Did it work out for him?
if Queen Elizabeth is listening to this right now, he's still not a well thought of character in their family.
Oh, you mean this is like current?
Yeah.
Like now? Oh shit!
Like, I
thought
think-
you meant like
I
current, as in like Mary, Queen of Scots time.
No. I mean current Queen Elizabeth. Her uncle was supposed to be the king.
That's really interesting. I
mean,
didn't know
he
that.
was the king for a little while, and then he gave the throne to his brother.
So they talk about knifing and milking, and knifing and milking. That's the name of the episode. Mary goes outside, sits by a lake with her dog, and she's getting stones, and her dog starts barking at the woods. Mary's like, "Shut up, dog." She's blah blah blah. Mary shows up to Francis's room, and she's like, "Hey, I got you some stuff." He's like, "Hey, you shouldn't be here." And she's like, "Why? I totally want to be here." He's like, "No, you should go." She's like, "Who's in there?" He's like, "Don't worry about it." And then he's very mean to her.
He's a dick.
He's like, "Kings do not answer to their wives," because he's banging some lady. What was her name? Do you know?
I don't know. Hooker Magoo.
I was gonna say, like, who is she really? But he would have been what, 6 at the time, so.
I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, I just fired a Nerf gun. I didn't realize it was loaded. It spooked me.
I've heard that before.
It's okay, Garrett. It happens to everybody.
So while she's outside, her dog just runs off in the woods, and she's gonna go get her dog. And then Sebastian, who is Francis's bastard half brother.
Oh my god, I fucking hate that name. He's a made-up character, and they gave him the name Sebastian. And
I
do
was
you
gonna
want to
ask,
know
was
what
he
they
made up?
call him? Bash.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Fucking
Much
A.
like he's a prick.
Yeah. Although he plays Thomas Culpepper in The Tudors. It's the same
Oh.
actor.
And he's like, "Oh, I get to do another show about these guys." Hooray.
Okay, now that makes sense. You just I just saw him on the screen. You're like, hey, that's Thomas Culpepper. I thought your point that was the character in the show Rain was Thomas Culpepper.
No, sorry
That's
about
what
that.
threw me
I'm
off.
sorry
Like,
now.
He's got very striking eyes, though.
Oh my.
Well,
I
Yeah.
know.
I
he's
feel
got
like that's
very
how you get
beautiful
cast
eyes.
in those kind of shows.
Okay, so let's finish the synopsis of the first episode. You
Yeah,
guys,
we're
this
getting
is
there.
how boring the show is.
So she goes to to the princess's wedding with her ladies in waiting.
Yeah.
Oh no, she goes to get dressed, or she's like in a room or something. There's like this like what those dividers where you get dressed behind, and she sees a hand on it, and she hears a voice that says, "Don't drink the wine."
I mean, I tell
And
people not to do that, but only so I can drink their wine.
at this point, I'm like, what is this show? Is this like some mysterious ghost person telling her, like giving her information
No, it's
from
better
beyond
than
the
a
grave?
ghost
Like,
person.
this was weird, and like the show really likes to get into the spooky mystery stuff.
Yeah.
That probably didn't happen.
Yeah. Probably not.
Yeah, they really want to play up the intrigue.
Okay, so
For people who so they go to court, or they go to the wedding, and Mary's going to drink some wine, and then she decides not to because she remembers that little message, and then she starts dancing with her ladies.
ugh.
This is when I started writing notes because I realized I had to start taking notes. I fucking hate anachronistic music in TV shows like this.
You mean you didn't like the Mumford and Sons? That is like
Fucking-
the entirety of the show?
It made my goddamn skin crawl, Emily.
If this
It-
if this episode isn't explicit yet,
Yeah, we're gonna earn that tag. Goddamn it!
yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah, Gare, I was
Oh.
super. So the only way I was able to deal with that scene was by Jeff pointing out it's. Think of it like A Knight's Tale. That's the only way I could deal with the music and the fucking costumes.
I've never seen A Knight's Tale. I remember you mentioning the costumes to me on another episode.
Fucking.
And I was like, oh yeah. I mean, they're very gorgeous, very beautiful.
They're
but
gorgeous, but
they-
so were the actual period relevant costume clothes of that time. You do not need to replace it with lace and satin and taffeta.
But they're not sexy.
Ugh.
They're not sexy, and the show isn't for people who are looking for
No.
one-to-one historical accuracy.
No, it's not.
Much like with the goddamn music in this show.
Fun fact: at one point in the show, the song "Royals" by Lorde plays.
Like the actual song, or do they do like one of those weird covers that Game of Thrones does?
I think they actually make one of the other. I think they make one of the other, or like one of the period musicians play it on like the fucking lute or something.
That's kind of cool if done right, but if you're doing a song called Royals in a show about royalty, that's a little too on the nose.
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, when done right, that can be done well. See Westworld or BioShock Infinite.
We haven't seen Westworld yet. We plan on watching it. Sorry.
Oh, you haven't seen Westworld yet?
No, we don't have HBO.
There are ways around it. as I
Garrett,
found
don't
out.
encourage people.
Okay, we're done
We
talking
do not
about
condone
Rain.
piracy
We're just gonna
here
talk about how great
in the
Westworld
public.
was.
Arrgh.
One thing that Westworld has over this, way more wieners in it. Anyway,
Hey, this show has female masturbation.
so Colin, this guy named Colin, he is the lover of one of Mary's ladies in waiting.
Oh, right.
So after the wedding, Mary's in her room. She's sleeping. This Colin guy comes into her room and attempts to rape her,
Yes.
which was pretty gross. But Mary throws him off, and then all these people come and say, "Whoa, what's all this?" Then, and they haul him off, saying that that he was attempting to make her unfit to marry to Francis.
Yes.
And Lola's the one that was
Ugh.
all in love with him. She's like, oh no, Colin, and then she starts blaming Mary. Next morning, Mary's ladies in waitings are discussing what happened. And Lola says that he was forced by other people and didn't try to harm her, that he didn't want to. Mary tells Lola that she believes Colin didn't mean to hurt her and goes to speak with the King and Queen of France to see if Colin can be released. The king had uncovered a plot by the English to have Mary raped, which would make her unsuitable to marry the King of France or any other royal, or noble for that matter, man. As punishment, Colin was immediately executed, much to Mary and Lola's dismay.
Is
Blah,
this
blah,
one
blah.
over
Lola
yet?
and Mary
Oh
get
my
pissed
god.
at each other. Bash. Oh, it's even written here as Bash. I hate it.
Like they couldn't even
I
call
see a
him
lot of
Bastion.
where
They
I
just
work. I
call
see a
him
lot of
Bash.
stupid ass
Seb.
names. And
Like in La La Land.
Bash is like the stupidest.
Yeah, they're fucking stupid. I hate everyone.
Turns to walk away. Bash finds the dog, is drawn to blood, blah, blah, blah. Mary and Francis ran into each other, and Francis accuses Mary of trying to mar her reputation by getting back at him by sleeping with Colin. What an asshole.
What the fuck is this shit?
What a fucking asshole.
Is this,
Drama.
Mary, of
is
course,
this
denies
episode
it, but
almost
reminds Francis that
over?
they may not even be getting married and that he doesn't even want to. After a heated discussion, the two almost kiss before Francis turns away, and that's the end of the episode.
Thank fucking Christ.
I think it's not written here, but I think at some point Mary and her ladies in waiting are like spying on the princess and her
Yeah.
husband doing it.
Yeah.
That was a weird part because like there's all these people just in the room watching. Was that a thing?
Yes. That.
Okay.
There
so
are
that's
there
an
are
actual
4
thing.
historical accuracies in this show. 1, Mary Queen of Scots existed. 2, Catherine de Medici existed. 3, Francis existed. And 4, people actually watched royal couples bang. Those are the 4 accurate things of the show.
Like that didn't even happen in Game of Thrones intentionally, of course. But
It was supposed to happen in Game of Thrones. In the Red Wedding.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was a thing that actually happened, and it was just basically to ensure that the royal couple was consummating their marriage so that it couldn't be annulled unless you were Henry VIII.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was done in every court. Like, I don't think it was done in England. I think it was done in France, though.
Okay.
So.
Well, the French are more liberal like that.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
like, free love. We do not care. We watch people fuck.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the first episode?
So yeah, my notes written down. Number 1 on hate. Fucking anachronistic music is my bane. We already went over that. What I did like is that it's Game of Thrones Junior.
I mean, it's like
in that
Nick
it's a
Jr.
medieval fiction show that has like intrigue and mystery
and masturbation.
and a little bit of sex and a little. So like if Game of Thrones is a little too violent, a little too much for you, this kind of can.
And you don't like seeing as many people die every episode.
We should make your mom
Yeah,
watch
it
this.
scratches that itch for like, well, I can't afford HBO, so I'll watch Rain.
Oh.
Which, hooray!
That's depressing.
I'm sorry.
I also have written down on likes that it is a gateway drug to history. So,
Like the other Boleyn girl.
I will allow that. Yeah.
because
It's
yeah, like if somebody's watching it, like, because I know my stepsister, I told her about this podcast. She said, "Oh, have you guys watched Rain?" So
Did you
I
tell her
imagine
she
that
sucks?
because she's your typical target audience for shows on the CW.
Okay.
Like she watches Vampire Diaries.
Tell her
and
to
all that
watch The
shit, so I'm sure
Tudors.
she's watched Rain.
Tell her to watch Tudors.
So if she watches Rain and then gets interested and actually looks up to see like what's really going on with these
Okay.
people,
I'll allow that.
yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. As long as they're not, then like I've decided this is more interesting than history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Acting is I.
I really
So-
like the main girl. She's super gorgeous.
She is well.
Well, like you
Gorgeous
said,
does not
like the
carry a
Mary Queen of
show.
Scots
It-
was
it-
supposed to be actually a really
Mary
very
Queen of Scots
pretty
was
and
very
a
pretty.
very like
She is
kind person. Which so far this
Yeah.
one has done a good job of making it seem that way.
I agree. They've done that.
The boys are pretty too.
Oh, what the heck was happening in the beginning with the nun?
She was poisoned.
Okay.
She was poisoned by and we'll talk about this in the next for the next.
How about I do?
episode.
How about I do a synopsis of the second episode?
What's
'Cause
that?
I just watched the second episode today. So how about I give you a synopsis with just my memory, not reading wiki.
Okay, we can do that because reading the wiki was kind of boring.
Okay, is there anything from the first episode you want me to talk about quickly?
I mean, I have just all of my notes all together, and we can. I want to go through some of them real quick.
Okay.
You get laid, and you get laid, and you get laid. This is a lot of people banging, especially for a CW. Like, because the scene where you watch the princess, where everyone's watching the princess do it.
Yeah.
Like that was a little
Risque.
steamy for cable TV show. I have Mary Queen of Sue's.
Mary Queen of what?
I should have written that differently. Mary Sue, Queen of Scots.
Why?
'Cause I feel she's kind of a Mary Sue.
What's a Mary Sue?
It's a thing where like this girl is the focal point of your story, and she's so beautiful, and everyone loves her, and she's gonna go through some hard times, but she's gonna go through it because she's just great.
Yes, I'm gonna write a book where everybody hates the main character, and yet she still finds love. Like she's a horrible person, she's boring as shit, and she's the opposite of a Mary Sue.
It's like it's a self-insert for the author.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is the person I wish I was. Like Twilight.
Yes, I was thinking
Bella.
the same thing.
Yeah, Bella is kind of a Mary Sue. And she's got boys fighting over her.
Yeah, right.
Stop, boys, not all at once.
Okay. Garrett.
Yes.
Tina
Belcher?
Oh, yeah.
Bob's Burger. Once again, the Bob's Burgers kids would be excellent historical figures.
Tina sounds like one of those people who are like, she's just so boring and awful, and she just wants love.
I'm gonna
and
make
butts.
I'm gonna make a fanfic about everybody
Prince
falling
Jimmy
in love with
Jr..
Tina. Garrett, you forgot the most important part of episode 1. The girl with the burlap sack over her face.
I missed that. What was that?
Not a clue. It was the weirdest
that
thing. I don't know. There is no answer for burlap sack girl.
That was Jason Voorhees,
When did
right?
that happen?
That was the beginning of Friday the 13th, the prequel.
Yeah, and the Nostradamus stuff, was he around that time?
Yes, and I actually looked it up because of that, and I guess he did spend some time at the court, but I don't really think Nostradamus spent his time giving Catherine de Medici personal future-seeking stories.
Yeah, I hated that shit too.
It was weird.
Yeah, they really like to play up a supernatural angle on the show, and it's not like, ooh, there's actual ghosts. They do make mention of
It's
ghosts.
just
at the very
burlap
beginning,
sack
but
girl.
I forgot I wrote this one for
What?
this is my last note about the show. Everybody hates Scotland.
Yeah.
Everybody fucking hates Scotland.
Except France didn't really. They were buddies. They were pals. I mean, England hates Scotland, but only because they want it.
England hates Scotland. Catherine hates Scotland.
Okay.
Francis is like, I know you're kind of a hottie and everything, but I don't know if I really want to marry you. Like, can you just back off?
Yeah.
And she's like, what? But what? This is we got to do this. He's like,
Wasn't Everybody Hates Scotland a TV show with Chris Rock?
Yeah. All right. Write that down in our notebook for new TV show ideas.
Okay, so Garrett, I was doing. Okay, so quick synopsis of episode 2. You find out that the Colin guy who they said was beheaded, it was actually not him who was beheaded. Instead, he was put on the rack, and the dungeoner walked away for whatever fucking reason, and Burlap Sack Girl released him. And I was actually really pissed about that, because do you want to know what happens when you're put on the rack? Your arms are stretched out, your legs are stretched out, and they are ripped out of their sockets. You do not walk away after being put on the rack. It is not just a mildly unpleasant sensation. It is torture.
Theon Greyjoy had it way easier.
I mean,
Well,
He just had a penis
he was on the rack, and then she undoes his
And burns
his restraints, and then he gets burnt with a poker, and then he just runs the fuck off.
I know. I was super annoyed about that. So then the younger
It's-
brother of Francis, another prince of France, is apparently supposed to have a English gal or some gal from another land come, and they're both like 6-year-olds. So they come, and when the cute little English girl, I think her name was Madeline or something, she arrives, but then the English are invading. But then they're like, oh no, wait, the English were actually helping the Scottish boats because it started to sink. So the English were at court for a little while, and Mary was all freaked out, and Francis was like, don't let them see your fear. And Mary walked in on a woman who was trying on her clothes, and she goes, what the fuck are you doing in my dress? And then she's like, I'm so sorry. And Mary starts to forgive her, and then the woman starts screaming that her dress is poisoned, which...
That was fucking hilarious.
So...
My dress is poison.
Garrett, that is actually an urban legend. So it is
Ooh.
actually also in Elizabeth. Is the first one just Elizabeth? Yes. You know the golden age that your man keeps looking for? The prequel to that. It's like a 1998 movie, and there's a poison dress in that one too. And
So was that a thing, or
no, I
feel
looked
like you're
it
gonna get to
up,
that
and
point.
it's just an urban legend. So, and we still hear this urban legend today. A girl goes to a thrift store to buy a prom dress. She finds an old one, and it turns out that the person who had last worn it had died in that dress, and so the poisonous fumes from her body were in the dress. So when the teenage girl is at prom, she dies because it's poisoned. There's also rumors that in the Victorian era there was arsenic in a bunch of dresses because of the dye they used. So I don't know if it
Puts
was
a
like
whole new meaning on I wouldn't be caught dead in that dress.
oh, that was a good one.
Wackity smackity doo.
I feel like I should have said that like the Crypt Keeper.
Pew, pew, pew.
And then cackled.
Cackle. Do it now. It's not too late. That's going to be my text message alert.
Oh God, I hope not.
Nope, it's happening. Yeah, so the poison dress thing, ridiculous, but I've seen it before, so I can't give them too much shit for it. So anyway, Mary runs away, and she's like, help, somebody's poisoned my dress. And she goes back, and Francis is there with some guards, and the woman has disappeared, and then she sees a guy, an English guy, who's like, oh, BT dubs, I murdered your nun, and I'm probably gonna murder you. And
Yeah, that guy was a total like baby eating asshole. Like he is like no pretense of like being a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's just like, yeah, I'm evil as fuck.
And then I got bored and tuned the fuck out. So I don't know what's happening except for Francis is now pissed at his mom. So
Yeah,
here's-
it actually comes to light that Catherine was behind the plot to kill Mary,
yes.
or at least have her raped.
Yes. So
At one point, Mary is she goes into like one of the secret passages.
oh yeah,
Was
she's
that a
talking to
thing?
burlap
Was
sack
that a
girl.
thing back in the day? Secret passages.
Yeah, there was Henry VIII actually had he put his mistresses in rooms that were connected to his. He actually first did it with his queens whom he loved. And then when he got sick of them, he'd put his mistresses in other rooms.
Oh, Henry. Oh yeah. Do you have a silly Henry fact for us today?
Oh my God, I did, and I didn't write it down, so now I can't remember what it was.
Emily.
But I have a silly fact about a character named Henry on the show.
Okay.
Okay, so I was reading the synopsis of things that happened in the show, and
Did we finish up our synopsis for episode 2?
yeah, it's boring as shit.
Well, hold on, because we forgot about the marbles.
Okay, tell us about the marbles.
Yeah, so Mary goes into like one of these secret passageways, and oh yeah, the brother of Francis says something about like there's a lady that I've been talking to, and she's mysterious and
Charles
she doesn't like
is the
talking
kid's
to
name.
people, and it's all supposed to be played up as like creepy and weird. I think this is the Baghead girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Mary like kind of interacts with her in this dark, spooky secret passageway, where she rolls like a marble down the hallway and says, I'm going to ask you questions, and if yes, roll it back. If no, keep the marble. And like all these marbles start flying at her.
That just sounds like somebody's filled like a tennis ball thing with marbles.
Just launching at her. She gets
Mary
pelted
slips,
with them.
falls on her ass.
And that's how the
hilarious.
gun was invented.
Okay, but yeah, that's episode 2. Oh, and at some point, Bash and Francis are in the woods. They find this guy strung upside down.
Oh, that was Colin.
Oh yeah, Colin.
Okay.
And then Bash says something in some weird language, and he's like, "What was that?" He's like, "Don't worry about it."
I tuned out for that part. I was so bored.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me about what happens the rest of the show.
Okay, so
And also to our listeners, if you're mad that we've been Sebastianing the show.
we're calling this episode Sebastian Rain.
If you're mad that we're Sebastianing on this show, I'm sorry.
No, we're not. We told you in the beginning we were going to rip on it, so.
I mean,
You knew what you were getting into.
Okay. So
I'm sorry.
I read through.
Emily's not, but I am.
I'm not. So I read through the synopsis, and I guess what happens. So the reason Catherine de Medici in the show doesn't want Mary to marry Francis is because Nostradamus told her, if they married, Francis will die. And if that's not the most ridiculous sentence I've ever said, then I don't know what is. So Catherine is just trying to save Francis. So I guess what she does is Mary falls in love with Francis, and Catherine is like, oh, by the way, if you marry him, he'll die. So then Mary's like, oh, cool, I'll start flirting with Sebastian. And then she somehow philanders things so that Sebastian would be declared legitimate so he could inherit the throne. And then they start planning a wedding. And Frances sleeps with one of her bitches, Kenna or Lola or Honeysuckle or Boo Boo Kitty Fuck. I don't know. You good?
I don't know why I found that so funny. Just the amount of venom in your voice when you said honeysuckle. I loved it.
So he sleeps with what's her fuck and gets her pregnant, and then Nostradamus.
Oh my God, this show's going off the fucking rails.
I know. And then Nostradamus goes to Catherine and he goes, "Oh, BT Dubs, I had another premonition, and this time if Francis and Mary get married, they'll live happily, or they'll be happy, and he'll be healthy." And so then.
And
Mary...
then Catherine looks directly at the TV screen, and you hear wah 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 wah.
Okay, so Mary ditches Sebastian, and Sebastian goes to sleep with another one of her not Marys, and then Mary and Francis get back together, and then there's drama. But so you know how King Henry died, the real King Henry, the one who was jousting.
Yeah, jousting.
Okay.
Your laughter tells me otherwise.
No, I'm just so excited to read this sentence, and when I read it this afternoon, I was in tears.
Okay, go on.
Okay.
Oh my God, are you all right? Are you alive?
Every time I think of it, I start laughing.
I don't even know what it is.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. After accidentally flinging a lover out of the window during sex.
It's already great.
King Henry starts to go mad and sees visions of his dead brother. He becomes violent and obsessed with taking over the English crown. And in the end, Francis kills Henry during a jousting match.
What?
I really need to find the episode where Henry is having such passionate sex with someone that he bucks this person out of a window.
It's like Bran.
Oh God, I hope there's a Wilhelm scream. I can just see it now. It's just some naked lady tumbling out of a tower.
No, I'm just imagining like he's on the bottom and she's on top, and he thrusts so hard that she goes flying backwards out of a window, and you just hear like Looney Tunes sound effects.
And then he looks at the camera and goes, wah, 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 wah.
That's all, folks.
So he has sex with somebody, knocks her out of a window somehow, has a dream about his dead brother.
Has visions, so he goes crazy.
Has visions. Goes crazy, and then his son challenges him to
They're jousting,
a jousting match.
and then he stabs his father with his lance.
Intentionally or just on accident?
Intentionally.
Oh,
Because
so he's
like,
wanting to
this
kill
is the
his
only way
father.
to keep France safe.
Oh my God.
Patricide. It was just that first sentence that made me want to die.
You didn't have to tell me how he died. Like that was plenty.
That was really the only thing I wanted to share.
That even had nothing to do with how he died. It was just great.
I know. Okay, so I was on Tumblr. This is relevant as well. I was on Tumblr and I follow a couple things about the Tudors, and randomly last week the first thing I'd seen of Rain had popped up, and this person who had watched the show up through its current season, which is in 4, started talking about how concerned they are about the casting people, because they are casting the same characters as different actors, and they play ages that are like 10 or 15 years apart. So the cute little boy Charles in the first or second one, I think the second one.
Yeah, I remember reading about
So
that.
apparently he aged like 10 years within like 3 or 4, and he becomes,
I saw that.
Yeah, and he becomes like this crazy like CW sexy nutball, and then the princess
King Joffrey worked out for HBO.
Right? And then the princess from the first episode, who everybody watched her have sex, she was a brunette, and she apparently came back blonde. Oh, here's another thing. The character's name was Elizabeth, but she goes by Lisa now. Leesa. So I guess that's a
Motherfucker.
thing. And then Catherine de Medici threatens her children, and there's a bunch of extra people, and they all grow up in weird spans. So I think they forgot that people are supposed to age normally in this show, because one of her kids within about 5 years goes from being a cute little like 5-year-old to somebody who looks like he's 19 and ripped. He's swole.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And next season he turns into Steve Martin.
So I want to talk about Catherine de Medici. I think another thing the show got right was how badass she was, and by badass I mean a little bit insane. So Catherine
Was she constantly trying to get, like, was she like trying to like Wile E. Coyote Mary?
No. Mary was loved by her family in France because she lived there since she was 5, so she was practically her daughter.
Right.
Okay, but let's talk about what the real Catherine de
But
Medici did.
I do like the idea of Catherine de Medici in the show being like a Wile E. Coyote trying to kill the Roadrunner every time.
How about she becomes Wile E. Coyote and kills 70,000 people?
Go on.
Okay, so there was the Huguenots in France, which were basically the Protestants, I think, and I'm really sorry if I got that wrong. But I'm pretty sure the Huguenots are the Protestants of France, and then there are the Catholics. So Catherine de Medici always wanted to be in power. So her son Francis died, and then she became regent during her other kids' reigns. And so when Charles became king, Charles the Ninth, she planned the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. So one of her daughters gets married to a Protestant, And the day of the wedding to a Huguenot, Henry of Navarre, and he was okay. So her daughter gets married to him, and the wedding's in France. It's in Paris, and a bunch of Huguenot nobility come to Paris, and somebody tries to assassinate. Somebody had tried to assassinate an admiral, so the Huguenots were really suspicious, and during the celebration, hold on. A bunch of Huguenots were murdered, including the guy that they had attempted to assassinate. So there was just massive slaughter throughout the city. The homes and shops of Huguenots were pillaged. The occupants were brutally murdered. The bodies were thrown into the Seine. And it lasted for 2 or 3 days. So, let's see. Estimates of the number that perished in the disturbances, which lasted, it lasted until October. It has varied from 2,000 Catholic, have varied from 2,000 by a Roman Catholic apologist to 70,000 by the contemporary Huguenot Duke de Sully.
Jesus Christ.
Modern writers put the number at 3,000 in Paris alone. And
Go Catherine.
the Pope was like, hey, good job. And Philip II, Mary's husband, Bloody Mary's husband, he was like, hey, good job. So Catherine was a big planner in that. So, little less Wile E. Coyote, more crazy tyrant. Henry VIII would have been like, oh, calm down.
It's like, who's she?
I think I found my next wife.
God, I love to behead her.
I have her Wikipedia up.
Catherine de Medici, it's a lot to go through. Don't go through it now, or else you'll be here. The podcast will be like 3 hours long.
Yeah, I'm looking at links to the occult, and that is... I cannot wait to talk about that.
I actually want to do an episode about the female rulers of that time, because we've already talked about Mary and Elizabeth, and we did talk about the other Mary, and now we're talking a little bit about Catherine de Medici. But I want to talk about the politics of a female-ruled Europe during this time, because it was ruled by a lot of women. So I'm excited to talk about that.
So do we have anything more to add about Reign, or any final thoughts?
I think I'm done.
We've talked about multiple times in previous episodes in like little bits. So,
I mean, we
finally got it out.
Wait, I do have one thing. So just for shits and giggles.
Was there any more that you knew about the future seasons that you didn't share, or was that all?
No, I don't know. Like, I guess season 3 ended with possibly, I guess Mary and Francis got married, and then some lie happened, and they weren't happy, and Mary tried sleeping with another dude, and she asked Francis if they could separate. And
wait, did Francis die from an ear infection?
He did, in fact.
And how do you make that sexy on the CW?
So we're
I don't know,
we're
probably
into
a dick in the ear.
So they're only married for like what? Like
a year.
2 years.
3 years. 3 years.
So is third season been 3 years later?
They stretched it, which I'll allow.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Sometimes I do. I understand.
I mean, we're this far gone. It may as well.
He is supposed to die. I read the season 3 synopsis, and apparently Nostradamus was like, "Oh, you remember that second vision I had where I said he didn't die? Well, I just had another vision that said that he didn't die then, but a year following that he would die." So Francis is still gonna die, and I guess season 3 or 4, Mary returns to Scotland as a widow. So I'm really interested to see how they put in 2 more marriages plus her upheaval with the English, plus being a traitor to the English and trying to get Elizabeth assassinated.
I want to see Lord Francis or Lord Darnley or whatever the fuck his name was.
I don't want to see any of this because this show.
I want to see him blow up.
I want to see a house explosion.
Then watch Gunpowder's Treason and Plot because it's much better. I was saying something before though.
I want to see how they would
Oh.
actually make it look dramatic of him dying from an ear infection.
Here's how he dies. I found it.
How does he die?
In the episode In a Clearing, Francis dies from head trauma after he is brutally attacked while saving Mary from a gang of assassins.
Sounds about right.
That sounds way too accurate to what that show would do.
Okay, so for shits and giggles, I went to IMDb and I looked up the goofs, and I thought it would be like at least 10, but instead it only has one goof, and that is, it's so fucking dumb. At the time, noble women wore hoods to conceal their hair as a sign of modesty, and free hair was considered scandalous. The noble women in this series are often shown with free hair, and that is the only mistake they have listed on this. So I'm very tempted.
Is that true, though?
Yes.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
So Burlap Lady is is probably the most noble.
She's probably the most historically
Yeah.
accurate. So I'm really tempted to go on IMDb and add a historical or factual error that says, besides the fact that Mary Queen of Scots existed, nothing else in this show is correct, and then just be done with it.
I just imagine you sitting down with your laptop and you get yourself a nice hot cup of cocoa and you crack your fingers and then you get to type in like a motherfucker.
There's smoke coming off the keys.
Oh man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I think we've exhausted this topic. I thought it was a good episode.
I agree.
had a lot of fun with this one. I'd be interested in continuing to watch this show.
Have fun.
Just to see how trashy it gets. That's definitely the thing. It's like
I
reading a trashy romance novel.
Okay, maybe then this will be our reverse dynamic. You tell me about the latest shit that happens and what you're watching, because I really genuinely had a hard time getting through the second episode. I got bored as hell. Like, even beyond the history part, I was just bored.
I was just grinding in a video game while I just had it up on my lap, and I was, whenever something important started
Okay,
happening,
well,
I started
maybe
looking down.
every now and then we'll have a What's Happening on Rain episode. And
then
you
I'll
can
tell
tell
you,
me.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I will try my best to see it through to the end of the season, at least.
Have fun.
And that's how Garrett died.
Anywho, anything else you guys want to add?
We found him. Died of a heart attack in his bed watching.
He was
watching
thrust out a
episode 5
window.
of CW's hit show
Naked,
Rain.
his naked, lanky body just on the ground.
Outside of a window after a sexcapade.
All right, so if you haven't already, find us on Facebook, will ya? Do us a solid. Click that like button. That the hand with the thumb sticking up. Do that. It's Facebook is Tudor. I hardly know her. Same as the show. You can find us on Twitter at Tudor Know Her.
Yes. Do those things.
Did we mention the
Do those.
Bessie Blount?
Oh my
last
God!
episode?
No.
God bless Emma for that. It was amazing.
It was Emma that did that.
What?
It was Emma that did that.
Yes. Emma Crook.
So for anyone who doesn't know, and if you follow the Facebook and Twitter, you would know. So one of our listeners, a wonderful person by the name of Emma, made our first ever piece of fan art, which is an advertisement for the fragrance Bastard by Bessie Blount.
It was so
which is
perfect. It was hilarious.
It was amazing.
It looks
Thank
so
you.
good. Like, it looked like there's times
a
we
real ad.
would see it and thought it was a real life ad.
It was a delight.
the tagline is what got me. Smell like a bastard today.
It was so funny.
It just, oh man, I loved it. I loved it all. Thank you so much for doing
Yeah,
that.
it was amazing. It seriously, I freaked out and texted Jeff and Garrett immediately.
Oh man, oh, God. If you have any more cool stuff like that, anyone
That's the
listening,
stuff that makes
you
our
share
day.
with us.
I mean, really, I just like I like anything Tudor related. So
Or just talk to us, say hi. Tell us if we made your day better or your commute to work.
I do
Let
like
us know.
those. I do like
hearing
seeing those
that.
things. They make my heart happy.
Yeah. We're not doing this show for us. We're doing it for you guys.
I'm kind of doing it for me.
Yeah, you really are. Emily's very self-serving.
So
Well, so yeah, I guess that's all the housekeeping we have. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or what's in the pipeline for future episodes? Do you have anything lined up, Emily?
well, since we are done with the direct Tudor family line,
Oh, that's right.
now we just kind of get to go willy-nilly. So we've had requests about the culture. So I'm thinking next episode we'll talk about life in that time period for the non-royals, and even for the nobility. So I think we might do that.
I think
want
that'd
to
be, that'd
talk.
be a really good
we
one.
could split that into 2 episodes, one for nobility, one for
No,
and
not
when
really,
nobility,
because you have to.
not like royalty. You mean like a
No, nobility, royalty, because they all kind of lived similar lives. No, I think we need to put it as one because you need to understand what it was like in comparison. So, like,
okay.
sumptuary laws forbade, the lower class people from wearing certain fabrics.
You're getting into it.
Sorry. So
Save it.
that'll be an upcoming episode. We're going to talk about Jane Rochford, who's one of my favorite people of that time period.
You keep mentioning her. I want to hear about her.
We'll talk about that one. We'll talk about we got a couple good ones coming up. So
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
yes, me too. So
until then,
yeah,
divorced, beheaded, died.
Divorced, beheaded,
survived.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.